mean, I was told she was sending out hits on people. I was told her brothers would young women, take them up to their mansion, them, pass them around the security guards, and then those girls, they were young teenagers, would be returned to their families in tatters, and their families would be told to not report the crime.
When you have plastic bags on the backdrop, you know something's gonna happen. You know that they don't want to stain something.
This week's morbid find of a severed leg dangling off a bridge is just among a string of recent incidents involving body parts, all suspected to be the work of the new Familia Michoacana, among the most ruthless of Mexican cartels.
Organized criminals of Mexico have redefined the word terror. Bred and trained in Mexico, these cartels are notorious for spine-chilling brutality that will shake anyone to their core, smuggling narcotics, looting, capturing territories, and terrorizing the locals. They have done it all, but the tales of their inhuman brutality, while taking the life of innocents, sets them apart from the other cartels. In this video, we will dive into the history of the infamous techniques of these cartels, where they inflict the worst kind of pain to their victims and wipe their existence from the face of the earth. Come join us in this chilling horror tale, where we uncover what really goes on during these torment sessions. The inhuman cartel torment story remains unfinished if we don't speak about Los Zetas. Their birth dates back to the 1990s. They have been one of the most organized cartels due to their professional training. Surprising as it might sound, this cartel was started out in the military and had taken the oath to fight against drug cartels. However, after being trained by the Mexican and US military, some of them dropped out and took off to join the Gulf Cartel in exchange for the huge sum of money offered to them. A portion of the Gulf Cartel disintegrated later on, and Los Zetas was born. They spearheaded the brutality among all the other cartels. The late George Grayson was a professor of the College of William and Mary who studied this cartel for years, and he said, "Sadism was their brand. Even the Sinaloas are now decapitating people. You have to keep up with the Joneses. You have to have cartel cred, being known as the meanest, most savage criminal organization in the Americas."
Also take over the local drug selling, shaking down, stealing cars, selling pirated goods. They started taking over corrupt trade unions.
Los Zetas had many operational zones strewn across the country. It is reported that they had 12 cells or houses where they took the victims for interrogating, terrorizing, or simply to take their lives. Law enforcement first learned about one of these kitchens when an ex-police officer and Los Zetas boss named Kareem was arrested in August 2011. He provided intel about 2 kitchens in Poza Rica, which were very close to the La Gallera Ranch, another hub for torturing people. Another ranch was in San Fernando, used for the same purpose. It also had a huge outdoor oven, like the one in La Gallera, which was reportedly used to burn corpses. Multiple other ranches and kitchens have been discovered since, all with remains of victims sticking out from a pile of ash. The most common and brutal technique used by the cartel leaders was turning their victims into stew. Yes, you heard it correctly. The El Guiso, or stew technique, ensured a slow and painful death for the victims of Los Zetas. Even though the cartel had been using all sorts of brutal methods to their victims at this point, this method was made more popular among their men under the reign of Miguel Angel Trevino Morales, also known as Z40. Cartel members poured concentrated sulfuric acid and water in large barrels, to the point the liquid began to boil and bubble. After the liquid was ready, victims were dunked into it when they were still alive and breathing.
The way that he would dispose of these bodies is he would, for lack of a better word, he would liquefy the remains of the bodies in vats of chemical substance.
The liquid gradually wore away their bodies, and they met a very slow and tragic end. The agony they endured is unbelievable, and it's hard to imagine how anyone in their right mind could enjoy doing something to innocent people. Some of these people were also put inside incinerators or in large boilers when they were still breathing, claimed Professor George Grayson.
They also prepare guisos. These are stews where you take a member of the family and you put them in a pig boiler and you pour gasoline on them and then you set a match to them.
In 2011, when the authorities raided one of the 12 kitchens used by Los Zetas to and even cook the victims, they found a distressing image inside. The red-stained walls of the one-storied La Gallera Ranch had horrors of the brutality imprinted on them. creating a disturbing picture for anyone who dared to enter its premises. Outside the building stood an outdoor brick oven. Although it's traditionally used to make a corn dish called zacahual, Los Zetas members had a different plan in mind for the equipment. After inflicting immense pain on their victims, the members of the cartel would use fire to get rid of the remains so there's no trace. Forensic officials went into the house of death wearing protective suits and face masks to avoid the disgusting stench of rotten human remains. They found piles of ash in the incinerator, along with bones, nails, and teeth buried in it. The words, "to zacahual," now have a whole new meaning for the locals. In another report, it was found that a former Los Zetas leader, Heriberto Lazacano, used to put his victims' flesh in his tamales and eat it. The cartel is also reported to have taken the life of a 6-year-old girl in front of her parents as a method. In 2011, Los Zetas killed 139 migrants and took them to the ranch in San Fernando, where they and took their lives. They had reportedly suspected them to be future recruits of the Gulf Cartel, which prompted them to take such a brutal action. However, it was later revealed that the migrants were not even related to the cartel in any way and were just passing through Mexico to reach the US borders. Earlier in 2010, cartel members killed 72 migrants, took them to a ranch, and asked them to give money. All of them ended up as lifeless bodies after enduring the cartel members' brutalities. A 19-year-old teen feigned death and escaped the ranch, and he pointed the law enforcement to that direction. In 2009, Mexican authorities requested the law enforcement and border liaison team of the US-Mexico border to investigate the missing cases of hundreds of people in the border area. They formed a team with FBI forensic investigators and found barrels that led to Santiago Meza Lopez, the stew maker of the Tijuana drug cartel.
Obviously, our initial objective, we don't know what we're looking at. We've never seen anything of this magnitude in the States or anywhere else, so we don't know what to expect.
The team uncovered 4 barrels buried in the ground in the area, which contained solid and semi-solid substances with high pH level, and some pillows, blankets, and long human bones. Not only this, they also found similar plastic barrels strewn across the city that had human remains in the form of stew, with chilling messages taped on the body of the plastic barrels.
These look like some similar barrels that they discovered in other parts of the city. These are other barrels, but these actually have a message on them saying, this is what will happen to the engineer and all of those who are with him. We're gonna make them into stew.
The act, as mentioned, was likely undertaken by a different cartel, but it's pretty evident where they learned the technique from. Members of Los Zetas don't have a conscience, and as it appeared, they wanted to get their message across in any way possible, even through such heinous and gruesome methods. Yesenia Pacheco was born in Novelado, Sinaloa, and her upbringing in poverty shaped her into a ruthless woman. We don't know much about her early life, but her sadistic tendencies and craving for violence proves that she grew up in harsh conditions. Mexican cartels earn millions of dollars through narcotics trafficking, and extortion. With them, Yesenia found an opportunity to escape poverty and make quick money, and that's why she joined the Gulf Cartel in 2009. She initially joined their ranks as a halcón and was tasked with surveying specific areas and gathering information for the cartel. They served as the organization's eyes and ears and kept tabs on law enforcement. They ensured the smooth trafficking of narcotics through established channels. Yesenia was dedicated and fearless for a female member. Her seniors were pleased with her performance and promoted her to the position of a sicaria, or a female hitman. Because Yesenia achieved this promotion in a relatively short period, it earned her the nickname La Güera Loca, or the Crazy Witch. Rivalry between the Gulf Cartel and Los Zetas was at peak at that time. Daily clashes ensued, claiming numerous lives in the power struggle. Being a sicaria of the Gulf Cartel, Yesenia actively participated in the battle against Los Zetas.
3 main cities in Tamaulipas bordering the US, which are dominated by different factions of the Gulf Cartel and the Zetas. It's a state where people show more respect to the cartels than to the authorities, and where the citizens and the law enforcement personnel live in a constant state of tension and suspicion towards one another.
The war between these two cartels extended beyond Tamaulipas and reached states like Guerrero, Michoacán, and even Veracruz. Yesenia was granted her own cell, and she led factions called Las Hienas and Las Flaquitas. Both groups were tasked to reduce the number of enemies, with Las Hienas specifically tasked with eliminating Los Zetas members. Whenever Yesenia captured a Zetas member, She showed no mercy. She was known for choosing the most inhumane methods to eliminate them. A video by Gulf Cartel members circulated on the internet that showed Yenia brutally eliminating a Zetas member. The exact date and location of the incident are unknown, but the video's content was gruesome and disturbing. In the video, a Los Zetas member was tied down on the floor, surrounded by Gulf Cartel members. Yenia was also there. A commander demonstrated the process of dismembering a human, and Yenia followed the instructions gleefully. After completing the task, she joyfully displayed the severed head to her comrades and the camera. Unsurprisingly, the female narco lord lost her life in the hands of her enemies. In 2014, Los Zetas members posted a video online that showed 4 women, all kneeling. Behind the women stood Zetas members, armed and dressed in their uniforms. The online video doesn't reveal when or how the 4 captured women ended up in this situation, and the location is also undisclosed. But they might have been caught in rival territories. 3 of these women were young, and the 4th was elderly. The masked Los Zetas members questioned the women about their names, cartel affiliations, and roles. One of the women said she was Yenia Pacheco, and a member of the Gulf Cartel. The woman on the far left claimed to be the niece of a Gulf Cartel leader. The 2nd and 4th women admitted to working as falcons, providing information to their bosses within the cartel. All 4 women admitted that they had connections with Gulf Cartel commanders. After the interrogation was over, the Los Zetas members removed the heads of all 4 women. Their body parts were found days later. Pacheco met the same fate that she put her enemies through. And if it's not ironic, we don't know what is. On a bright and cheery day, in August 2023, 5 childhood friends walked out of their homes to attend a fair in Jalisco in western Mexico. The day was nothing out of the ordinary, as they said goodbye to their families to go meet their friends. Roberto Olmeda Cuellar, Diego Alberto Lara Santoyo, Uriel Galvan Gonzalez, Dante Cedillo Hernandez, and Jaime Adolfo Martinez Miranda attended the fair and visited their routine hangout place, Mirador de la Santa Cruz. At night, one of the friends even informed his family that he was on his way home, but that was the last time any of their families heard from them. Their families filed a report, but only to find pictures and videos of them being brutally tormented, circulating online a couple of days later. By the time the police found them, they were reduced to piles of human remains and ashes. The 5 boys were childhood friends, and between the ages 19 and 22, they had gone to visit the annual fair in Lagos de Moreno in Jalisco. But they disappeared within a few hours on the same day. On August 12th, their families sensed something unusual and immediately alerted the police. According to the relatives of the victims, after they placed the missing report, the law enforcement agency showed a lack of interest and activity. They even started the investigation late.
The pain is so big, we can't take it anymore. The days go on, the hours, and we don't have anything concrete. They don't confirm anything.
Soon, the friends and families of the missing boys started to protest against the police inaction, demanding that they check the street security footage immediately. After being pressured, the law enforcement agency began their investigation and soon found a lead in the case. On August 13th, the State Attorney General's office and National Guard searched the area where the boys were last seen, Mirador de la Santa Cruz Viewpoint. The State Attorney General's office released an official statement regarding their search operation. One of the victims' brown Jetta car was found burning by a highway within that search location, but the vehicle didn't have any sign of violence or robbery. Then, on August 14th, social media was taken by storm when a picture with the 4 missing boys started making rounds. They were on their knees on the ground, their hands tied behind their backs, their mouths taped, their eyes looked terrified, and there were red spots on their faces. It was evident that they had been through a lot of pain. The picture was taken at night. They were in an outdoor location and had a red brick wall in the background. This clue was helpful for the law enforcement agency to strengthen their search. The source of the photo was untraceable. It was likely that the original poster had released it through Telegram or WhatsApp. It was believed that the boys went to Mirador de la Santa Cruz to meet a man right after visiting the fair. The police never disclosed the name of this man. After a thorough investigation, Mexican law enforcement agencies found signs of violence at Mirador de la Santa Cruz, the hangout point where the boys often met. Some of the stairs had dried red stains on them, proving that someone might have been attacked there. The vehicle of one of the victims was found near a highway in Jalisco, and it was in flames. Authorities called the firemen to put out the fire and continued the investigation. They uncovered burned human remains inside. It's unclear whether the remains belong to one person or multiple. On the night of the 14th, the Jalisco prosecutor's office announced that they found a farm property that had the red brick wall that was visible in the viral video. They had also found 4 skulls and burnt remains in the building. There was cartel graffiti on the walls, red stains on the floors, and footprints on the field that suggested that the boys had been there. Investigators suspected that the boys had been lured in by a cartel for jobs. Investigation uncovered that on August 9th, at least 2 of the 5 friends were in touch with an anonymous person who was linked to a call center. The boys were possibly looking for a new job opportunity, which led them to their tragic end. In fact, sources revealed that one of the men the boys had arranged to meet was a well-known CJNG cartel member. CJNG has many such call centers which create fake job opportunities and force innocent victims to join their ranks. But instead of getting jobs, they met a tragic fate. The Sinaloa Cartel and the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, or CJNG, are 2 of the most notable cartels with decades of history in narcotics dealings, human trafficking, and of the innocent. Herded by some of the best in their line, these 2 cartels have been in a clash for as long as one can remember. A recent video circling on the internet shows the brutal method a CJNG applied on a Sinaloa member to subject him to pain. Although the video wasn't available everywhere, it gathered enough views to create a buzz. This was the first time the CJNG had chosen a different violent technique to inflict pain upon members of their rival cartel. However, for CJNG, this has been the norm. The cartel has a special tactic to inform the world of their activities and to announce the dangers they bring to the table. They capture detailed videos of interrogations and more often and post them frequently on social media. The Sinaloa cartel does the same, but not this often. On top of that, the videos posted by CJNG tend to be more graphic. So, what happened in the video in question? The clip showed 2 members of the Sinaloa cartel, hands tied behind, kneeling on the ground. Before the CJNG members began the recording, one of the members was wearing a white t-shirt and he was the closest to the camera. The other person had a blue shirt on and was away from the camera. In the beginning of the video, one of the CJNG members used hedge clippers to remove his fingers one by one. The man sat there and took all the pain, not making any noise. He didn't resist too much despite being exposed to perhaps the worst pain of his life. But the red pool on the floor beneath his tied hands was proof enough that the video was not fabricated. In the next sequence of the video, the CJNG member dropped a knife on the ground. It's possible that he just used that knife on the second victim. He then brought out a spoon. Defying all of humanity, he used it on the victim's eye and started pulling it outwards. As impossible as it might sound, the gruesome view proved what the audience was witnessing was indeed happening. It was pretty obvious that this person might never see again. Instead of tears, there were red trails coming down from the victim's eyes, proving a second time that the video was real. Reportedly, the CJNG members let these 2 victims live and made them fight. Their pain and helplessness became a source of entertainment for them. It gave them a reason to celebrate the fact that they had captured and inflicted pain on members of the rival cartel, one which is perhaps the biggest cartel of the country. The video created a division among the audience. Some claimed that the video was indeed fabricated because the victims in the video didn't make much noise. Someone going through that level of pain would scream and beg for mercy. A counter-argument pointed out that these cartel members are usually given heavy narcotics after and they probably get desensitized to pain and don't feel much. Another viewer pointed out that despite CJNG being one of the most technologically advanced cartels, they use backdated cameras to record these videos. These devices are very old, justifying the poor video and picture quality. At this point, only the cartels know if the videos are real or they're just fabricating them to instill fear in the general public and rival cartels, especially the ones who want to take them over. Edgar Valdez Villarreal, also known as La Barbie, was a former narco lord and a member of the Beltran Leyva cartel. The cartel isn't functioning anymore. He was the first Mexican-American man to have achieved such a high-ranking position in a Mexican drug cartel. But how did he do it? Well, Valdez began his criminal career at a young age. He used to smuggle illegal narcotics across the US and Mexico border and earned a handsome amount. But Valdez gained his popularity when he started to record videos of his cartel's brutal and in one video released in 2005, Valdez is seen interrogating, torturing, and members of a rival gang.
Against rival gang members, police say you can hear LaBarbie's voice interrogating these men just before they're executed.
Although he was taking the life of a rival cartel member, it was still difficult to watch. Tales of his brutality don't stop here, and he's earned his reputation through these displays of unhinged violence throughout the years. What did you think about these brutal methods used by the narco lords and soldiers? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.